All right, everyone. Hey, we are back and rock and rolling along, keeping the party going here Sunday afternoon. And I am excited about this next session because this lady's probably going to answer one of the biggest gaping holes in my marketing. Actually, she does an amazing job. She's the host of the Positive Productivity Podcast, and just absolutely, this woman really helps a lot of people take their podcast, their businesses to the whole next level of things out there. And she is the author of the forthcoming book, Chronic Idea Disorder, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Overcoming Idea Overwhelm. Kim Sutton learned the hard way that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. The Positive Productivity Podcast launched in October 2016. After Kim recovered from a 3-year cycle of chasing everyone else's successes and severe sleep deprivation. Amen to that. In addition to her podcast, Kim is a marketing automation mentor, wife, and mom of 5. Boys that enjoy the farting contest, we all know. She's found her passion and purpose empowering broken, and burnt out business owners to set up the system and support they need to make time for themselves, the self-care they deserve. And that broken and burnout sounds like a great podcast name now that I just say that.
I know, doesn't it? Can I just comment? Larry said you just something about staying classy. I think if people see me being classy, then I'm pretending.
That's right. That's coming from a guy that runs readily random comedy podcasts. So yeah,
okay. Yeah. I mean, because you've seen the classy Kim, but you've also seen, like, as we've gotten to know each other, you've seen the other side of me. Yeah. I pretend to be polite.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, we're glad to have you here. I'm sure you probably got a presentation of things that you're gonna dive into, or jumping on the website, or what, or no, or what?
I'm going to be showing a little bit behind the scenes. I hadn't even thought about that. I do have a presentation that I can pull up, but I really want to show in what it looks like behind the scenes for people.
Let's do that. And do you want to take questions as we go, or do you want me to kind of wait till the end? Or
I would actually love to take questions as we go. And okay. I want to start with a big question. I want to know how many people who are with us are actively using Pinterest in their business, or even have a Pinterest account.
So I have a Pinterest account. I know I have that. I have a board somewhere, but that's about it.
Right. So a big common misconception is that Pinterest is for moms looking for clothes, crafts, and recipes. Now, okay. I'll tell you that I know how to make coffee and cereal. So the cooking part for me is out. I think I bought this shirt at Goodwill. That's my extent of liking to go shopping. And crafts. My kids take care of the crafts and they draw all over my walls. So that is not my purpose for being on Pinterest. Although I do have a board that's loaded full of margarita recipes for the end of the day when clients and kids drive me crazy. So as far as recipes go, that is it. But what I started seeing more and more people sharing blog articles on Pinterest, and I had been dabbling in it. I did find my wedding dress. I don't even know if I told you, Scott, that I knit my wedding dress, and I found that pattern on Pinterest almost a decade ago.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and it only took me a month to knit. So that was a lot of fun, but I sort of dabbled in it. It was maybe a once a month thing, but then I started to notice that people were posting their blog articles. So after I launched my podcast and I was trying to figure out how to get more marketing, I heard about this tool. I'm not even going to mention the name because it's no longer around, but what they offered was a way to pin pins to Pinterest and then recycle them. I am about working smarter instead of harder. So if we can put up a piece of marketing once and then have another tool constantly recycle it for us, I am all in. I love doing that. I keep on hitting my microphone, so I apologize if I hurt anybody's ears. So I was in this tool, it went down, and I had already seen that it was working. I decided to start putting up my pins. But when that tool went off the market and I started looking for a new one, I started researching better ways to use Pinterest. What should I be doing that I'm not doing? How can I maximize my visibility? What can I do for my pins to make them more visible? And I realized I was doing a lot of things wrong. So I'm going to actually head on over to my own website, and I'm going to show you some good and bad examples, because if you can just get this part right, then the Pinterest part will come a lot easier. Does that sound good?
Sounds awesome.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go back a few hundred episodes. That's so crazy. Considering I have chronic idea disorder, it's crazy to say to you a few hundred episodes. By the way, so Lucy says no to Pinterest. Nancy said no. Larry says he has an account but struggles to use it. And Denisha, I hope I said your name right, has an account but doesn't use it. You are all pretty standard. It is very rare. And Larry, I just want you to know that the male demographic is growing quickly on Pinterest. So I don't want you to feel like I'm only talking to the women here. And all you other men who are here with us right now or watching in the future, I am not leaving you out. And if you can hear them in the background, I think there's a fight going on over the Nintendo Switch. So I just hope that you can't hear it.
We're good.
Good. Awesome. So this is I'm about to push share. Do I need to, I'm going to stop my video. This is my podcast page. And what I want you to notice, and which was a big fail for me at the beginning, is how I name my podcast episodes. So I'm going to pick on Nancy's episode right now, Establishing Boundaries to Build a Better Life with Nancy Levin. When I started in 2016, I was naming guest episodes with the person's name and the name of their company. So I don't even know. That's not Nathan would have been Nathan Hirsch, CEO of Free Up. Well, nobody knows who Nathan is. Well, a lot of people know who Nathan is, but not the people who would necessarily be looking for him. And number two, they wouldn't necessarily know the name of his company. So when I realized that I was doing all of my episodes a disservice by not naming them properly, that was step number one. And this comes into play with Google Analytics, with Google searches. People are going to be searching for some search term. They're likely not going to be searching for the name of the person here, but you want to make sure that you're smart about how you name your episodes. And then number two, I was not naming my graphics properly. So you are getting a real behind the scenes look at my business right now. But I do all of my podcast graphics in Canva. I have a template in here. Scott, if there's a question that I need to stop for, could you just let me know?
Yes, ma'am. Glad to.
Okay, thank you. So this is a behind the scenes look at this past week's Pinterest graphic. My graphic designer designed it in Photoshop or in Illustrator. He took apart the pieces and then he brought it into Canva for me, so that if I'm doing the graphics or if somebody else in my team is doing the graphics, that it's really easy. But I want you to notice up here where you name the image, and I do this for all images for my podcast, that the name of the episode is right here. It is so easy to download images from Canva that simply say untitled.
And or the first word you type in too, like taking.
Exactly. Yeah. And that does nothing for you.
Why is that important though? Tell people why that's important though.
So, and I'm going to give you so much today. When Google is searching the web for your content, when you have images in your post, in your show notes, and please have show notes, people, you're putting all this time into your episode. If you do not have a good show notes page, you are doing yourself a disservice. But what I want you to see is, here's the title of the graphic. You see that, where it takes the whole thing, and then I copy it and put it in as the alt text, and that is what Google sees.
But they also will search images. I think that's one big thing about Google.
They do. They search images.
Yes, the image is the name of your image. And this is something that I failed on a long time ago. A buddy of mine who's a Google preferred plus or whatever photographer with 50 million photos gets searches because he names the image. He actually types in the image information. You can make it as long as you need it to be, but it's a searchable thing. And I think many people forget about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then at the end in Canva and then here as well, you may notice that I even put in some keywords for what the episode was about.
Dude, that's brilliant.
So put in some keywords, and I just for ease, so I don't forget, I put them right into the title of the image in Canva, and then I just copy the whole thing into the alt text. I use WordPress, but regardless of what service you're using, this is also relevant for Pinterest. So it's important to know that you want those keywords in the title when you upload your images into Pinterest. So as I am working on my show notes for my episode, and I'm going to show you what I'm not saying I do it the right way. Just want to make that clear. But I do spend a bit of time on my show notes. I think this one actually doesn't have the transcription yet, but I do usually have a transcription down at the bottom too. Yep, this one says coming soon. But I do spend some time on them because I want to make sure that it's optimized for SEO. Scott, since I started optimizing each show for SEO in the fall of 2018, my site traffic has gone from 500 a month to over 4,000. I haven't looked recently, but that was just by going back. I'm only through the first 109 episodes and then the most recent ones that are going out. But I still have 300 in the middle that haven't even been optimized yet.
Wow.
So who wouldn't love that type of increase in traffic, right?
Yeah.
So that, make sure that you're naming your images right. Then I take a little short blurb from the episode. You know, I get a little description and I write a description for, I write a pin description, and this ends up going into Pinterest. But if somebody decides to pin an image from my show notes page to their Pinterest account, it's all right here for them. So I provide that all in here. And then when they pin it, it's not just a blank box with no description. And that Pinterest is a search engine. It is not a social media platform. It is a search engine. People go on there to search for things. So you need to make sure that your description is written in a way that people may be looking for it. While I understand that this isn't necessarily the best description, it's working for right now. And if you are using WordPress, I will tell you what tool I use. Oh, Social Warfare is what I use, which allows me to put the pin description in. But I copy that description and I use it for the description in WordPress of my image. So if it doesn't show on somebody's computer, you know, that dreaded little picture icon where nothing shows up, this description will show instead. So moving on, then I started taking every one of, as I said, I'm up to 109 episodes on Pinterest, but I started uploading them to my account. Now, I have a board just for my podcast. It's the Positive Productivity Podcast board. And I have a custom cover for all of my boards. So my podcasts go into the podcast board, my blogs. I'm sort of slacked on both of these lately, but my blogs go in here. I have my lead magnets in another board, but I have, and I don't want to scare anybody, 161 different boards.
Wow.
Yes, but I'm going to push you for a second, Scott. Let's make this. Can we do a brainstorming? Can we go on camera? And I want to push you for a second.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I like it. I love it. Hang on. All right.
I know, Nancy, but when I finish with Scott, it's going to become crystal clear what you need to do for you.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay.
So get out a pen and paper, or you can go back and watch the recording. I want you to think about all the topics that you frequently discuss on your podcast and just start spewing them to me.
Note investing, entrepreneurship, real estate, case studies, vendors.
What types of vendors?
Vendors in our note business, basically. So,
okay. Mortgage vendors, loan.
Yeah, mortgage, loan servicing.
Like I would break those out.
Say what?
Break those out individually.
Okay.
Each of those is a different board.
Ooh.
How to shop for a note vendor, a mortgage broker, this, that. Each of those can have its own board because the more it's like long-term.
It's like long-term keynote, because as you said something first, it's not a social media tool. It is a search engine more so with Pinterest. So like Kim says, I have no account but 160 boards. Who has time for all that? And you're not posting to 160 boards every freaking day.
Do you want to know how much time I spend on my strategy a month?
Yes, we'd love that.
1 hour.
A month? That's it?
Yeah. Wow. After the pin is posted for the episode, my overall Pinterest strategy takes 1 hour a month.
Wow.
Could I be doing more? Oh yeah, I absolutely could. But I don't know if you saw it. My monthly views right now is 1.4 million.
Yeah, I saw that. That was the.
Do I feel pressured to do more right now? No, I have other things. Like I'm really loving doing Facebook Lives and getting more present on Instagram. And right now, Pinterest is running itself with the system that I've set up. So going back to you and the different topics that you talk about, if you're talking about them routinely on your show, you may have blog articles about them. You might have lead magnets about them. You could have a ton of content. Other people are going to have content. This is all reciprocal, right? I post other people's stuff on my boards all the time. They notice, oh, Kim Sutton posted something. They don't know who Kim Sutton is, a lot of them. They'll come over, oh, I like this board. I'm going to follow. Oh, I like this one and this one and this one. And then they start pinning it out to their people. But it's a sharing community. Sharing is caring. I was having to preach that to my kids this morning. But it really is like that on Pinterest. So that's how I have 160 boards. I started to notice things, and I'm going to go back to my and please know that my Pinterest account I have had since 2015. So it's 5 years old. Okay, this did not happen overnight. But as I've had more and more conversations with people on my podcast, I've noticed that we've started to talk about some of the same topics over again. Confidence became a recurring topic. Mindset, mindfulness, boundaries. I became more comfortable talking about my anxiety. Just, the topics that I started to notice were talked about quite a lot. Comparison syndrome. I mean, I was struck by comparisonitis for a good 2 years. So, and people write about these things. So that's how these boards got started. And I may or may not be posting my own content there, but I'm all about giving back to my community. So if I know that I'm talking about it on my podcast routinely, or I'm talking about it on my blog, or if I see that somebody else is and I see that somebody else is posting content about it, I want to do whatever I can to serve my people. And the content may not always be from me. So that's where all these come from. But I look at the topics that are discussed in each episode, and one pin from one episode might be posted into 10 different boards. In Nancy Levin's episode where we were talking about boundaries, we were also talking about confidence and mindset and entrepreneurship and being an author. And there were maybe, well, Scott, you've been on my show, there is no straight line on the Positive Productivity Podcast. We go where we go. So the show may be pinned, the pin may be pinned to a whole bunch of different boards. So please, people, do not get overwhelmed by the number of boards I have. Just think about what those topics are that you discuss frequently. One mistake that I have seen clients do when I've been working on their Pinterest is that they think that their boards should all be named for their products or for their trademarked terms. Remember, people might not know that. People may not know your trademark terms or your, I'm looking for a word here, like whatever you have named your strategy or whatever. But they might have an idea of the overarching theme. So even though my funnel program, for example, is called Feel Good Funnels, I do not have a Feel Good Funnels board, but I do have a marketing automation board. I do have an email marketing board. So think about what people would actually be searching for. Then, and I'm just going to take a quick, I see a couple questions. Okay, I'm just going to address this really fast. Denisha asks, what about if doing seasons? Pin them all at once when the whole season drops. I'm going to show you what I do, and you are going to love it. So just stay with me for a moment. I want to show you one last thing for when you're thinking about laying out your Pinterest account. As I mentioned, I have a margarita board. That has nothing at all to do with positive productivity. I mean, full disclosure, I gave up drinking a couple months ago. Positive productivity was not helped by margaritas, but I know that people, I mean, this board was started before then, but you might notice here that there's a separation. Right here, the board covers are all turquoise. By the way, these board covers are made in Instagram. No, were made in Canva using the Instagram template.
Yep.
So they're square. But right here, you'll notice that it goes from turquoise to purple. So the turquoise are my business boards, and the purples are my personal boards. People buy from people. Mm-hmm. People don't buy from brands. So if I take me out of this, I'm taking a big part of what people know out of my Pinterest account. So I share things that I love. Yes, I like cows. So that's why these are purple. And then at the very bottom, I'm a part of a few group boards. Those boards are not mine. So I put them way at the bottom of my feed, and you can see there's 20, 25 group boards that I do not own. So you can take those off the 161. Okay, let's make it a little bit better. Going back to posting all at once, and I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Sharing all at once or when the whole season drop. Denisha, does the whole season drop at the same time, or is it one episode at a time during the course of the season? I would love to know more about that. What I would love to be doing in my ideal strategy is pinning the same day that my episode goes out. I have not been good at that. Okay, plan is to drop all episodes at one time. Okay. I would drip them out then, because you don't want to overwhelm your followers with a lot of pins all at once. And I have a tool that I'll show you that will help you do that. But what I would like to be doing with mine is the day the show drops, to schedule it to go out. I am a little bit OCD though, I admit that, and I'm up to 109 getting them all in order. So I'm trying to steadily work the rest of the way through before I start dropping the new ones.
Well, this way, it's kind of like the Amazon and Netflix thing when they have a new episode. I mean, not maybe Netflix, but Amazon. You think about Showtime or HBO, maybe it's better because Amazon and Netflix, they drop everything at once. But I think the Showtime model or the HBO model, it's a new season every Sunday night. And I think it keeps people coming back, and they give them a chance to go back and watch the replays. or the episodes that pass. If you drop it all at once, they're going to binge, and now you're not going to have anything for another until you get around to another season versus spreading it all out, right?
Yeah, I was shocked when Jack Ryan did that, but I'm glad that Game of Thrones didn't do that. Let me just say.
Yeah.
Okay, so I use Tailwind app. I don't know if I'm allowed to share. Scott, we never even really talked about it. If I can, I'd love to shoot you over an affiliate link.
Yeah.
And I think there's a free month that you can get. But I use Tailwind for both my Instagram and for my Pinterest scheduling. You can see here on the right-hand side, I have my whole pattern worked out. And then
we can't see your screen anymore.
Oh, shoot. That's good. Yep. Positive productivity does not mean perfection. Tired of hearing that yet?
Oh, it's a tagline, and I love it.
So you can see here on the right-hand side, I have my pattern worked out. Does that mean I lay out everything up front? Heck no. But I know what's going when on what day. So, I have it worked out through April. This is my Instagram account, though. Let me go over to Pinterest. That's why 18 of the same pins went out at the same time this morning. You can see I have about 13 pins going out a day. I like for them to be shuffled up. You can see my schedule here on the right-hand side. I do not like to see five pins all at the same time, but I haven't been in here in a month. So it's time for me to go load some more pins in and get those going too. And then I can shuffle them. But what I'll do is I'll schedule my pins. I'll also schedule in some other people's pins, and then I'll shuffle them up. So these 5 pins might be scattered over the course of the next month instead of being stacked like this. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to show you that I need to get in here quickly. But this is Tailwind. I love it, number one, because it allows me to get on to Pinterest or get into another great feature that they have and do all my scheduling once a month. I prefer even more than that because clearly you can see I had an oops right here and forgot to get back in. But the other thing that I really love about them that has helped me tremendously in getting word about my podcast and everything that I do out is their tribes feature. And I want to make a clear distinction here for any of you who are familiar with, let's say, Instagram pods or LinkedIn pods, where you post something, you go into the pod, and a pod is maybe a group of 10 to 20 people, you give them the link to whatever you posted on Instagram, and then before somebody can go and share their own stuff, they have to go through all the previous ones and like and comment. That is not how Tailwind Tribes works, and it's generally, if you want to share one of your pins into one of the tribes that you're in, you have to share one of your community members' pins out. So one. And some of the tribes that I'm in have thousands of members. So there are thousands of pins that I can be choosing from, and I only choose what's relevant for me and my community. So that's how I've gotten a lot of exposure. That's how I fill my queue. The amount of time that I actually spend in Pinterest itself is minimal, except for posting my pin. But this is not meant to be an advertisement for Tailwind, but I just want to show you how easy it's been for me to fill my queue. I mean, if I have a meditation board, I could put this one in, say I want it to go, assign it to that board and say add to queue. And that's all I've got to do. So what I might do is, one Sunday a month when I'm catching up on whatever show I'm watching, I'll just go through Tailwind, fill my queue, and that's it. But the nice thing is that, as I said, some of these tribes have thousands of members. I mean, this one has 482 members. My fellow members have themselves shared my pins in this tribe 99 times. Their their followers on Pinterest have shared it another 12 times. And my reach out of this tribe alone has been 747,000.
Wow.
And just to give you an idea, this Tailwind may cost $12 a month. So using this, and as I said, I love tools that allow me to work smarter instead of harder. Actually, before I go there, they also have a smart loop feature, which means I can add my Pinterest pins to a smart loop, and it will keep on repinning them for me over months. It will repin the pin from my podcast for Nancy Levin's episode or for Hope's episode, which came out this week, but it will keep on repinning them for me. But I started using this tool in November of 2018, and that is absolutely insane to me. 34.3 million reach.
Wow.
So, the first step though really is just naming your episodes appropriately. Because when you come into Pinterest, and I'm going to go, Scott's face was in my way, just one second. If I were to pin a pin right now, you would want to make sure to name your episode appropriately. So I would leave the number off, okay? And I would take this and put it in. So
how many images are you preparing for each episode?
I've only been doing one, but I've actually been thinking about that because now that I'm doing IGTV for episodes, Pinterest you can do videos on now too.
Wow.
So what I've been using is Headliner app to make a quick commercial for the episode. And I was thinking about using that same video that I'm using because I take the Headliner app. If any of you are familiar, do you mind if I just go over and show people who might not be familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So for the episode, I use Headliner app and I make this image which puts in the waveform, and it puts in the audio. What is that called, Scott?
The audiogram?
Yeah. It puts that in. It's only a minute long, so I take a little excerpt from the episode. And then in IGTV, you can actually include a live link so they can click through to the episode itself. Which, because I don't have 10,000 followers on Instagram, so I can't link from stories and I can't link from my posts, but I can link from IGTV. So I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't do this for every single episode.
Right.
I'm just going to see what. Okay. So I was thinking about doing this as well as the other image and just seeing how it works. I did do it for her episode, but they did tell me that Pinterest needs to review videos. And I don't recall ever seeing a notification ever come back through that it had been approved or not. So I'm not sure how long that process is, but I did hear that videos are doing really well. For lead magnets, I've been doing 4 to 6 different images. So for example, if I do, well, I'll just, let me get through this and then I'll show you what I mean. So the title goes in, and then I already had the description written because I put it on my site. So I would copy that. You don't include the URL here. So I would put that in here. Pinterest is using hashtags now. So I would put hashtags in, and this is where you would put the link back to your site. Make sure that you include the link back to your site in your pin. Like so.
Nice.
Obviously put your image in. And then last but not least, Pin to your podcast board. In my opinion, that should always be the first board that the pin goes to. But after that's done, I use Tailwind to schedule it out to all the other boards where it might be relevant in the future. Not stacked like you saw me doing for today, but over the course of the next 2 months, it might go out on 10 different boards as well. So let me show you what I was talking about for lead magnets. And I didn't mention this earlier, but Pinterest is second to Google as far as driving traffic to my site. And I use it the least of any social media platform. By using, I guess I should say, I spend the least amount of time on here as opposed to any other platform, but I have set it up so that I don't need to spend a lot of time in here. Mm-hmm. So you're going to see a whole bunch of the same thing back to back to back. They weren't posted all at the same time, but this was a lookbook that I had created showing different examples of really well-designed Instagram profiles. So I designed 4 different covers or pins. I did that for the free version. I do it for just about any. I did it for a Pinterest checklist that I had. I think I have 6 different versions of that pin. And I realized you might see that this number looks low where it says that only one eye has seen it. But because it's being repinned by the Smart Loop feature, it's not showing all the eyes, all the impressions over time. It's only showing since it was repinned. But you can see that I've tried various. It's always fascinating for me to see though, Scott, which ones do well, because it's usually the one that if I had a choice, I wouldn't put up.
That's the way it always is,
every
right?
single time. But something nagged me and I was like, yeah, just put it up. And then that's the one, surprise, surprise, that does the best. So yeah, I do it for every single one. Bright colors work great. This yellow wall, despite the big fat 0 that's there right now, this yellow wall has done really well consistently. But yeah, and then we get into some of the older ones, but that Smart Loop feature does get rid of the old pin after it repins it. So it doesn't look on your board, except for an exception right here. I don't know why there's 2 of those and 2 of those. Okay, that was a bad example, but they do get rid of the old pin so that it doesn't look like you just keep on repinning the same stuff.
Okay.
Denisha, though, this is why I would not pin them all at the same time. I would maybe stagger them. This is not ideal. This is not how I want my board to look with 5 of the same pin, just different designs, one after another. For blog articles, for podcast episodes, for whatever your products are, different strokes for different folks. So I would always make sure to pin different images because you never know what's going to work. Scott, what questions do you have?
I like what you're doing. I see how you can fit 160 boards in there, relatively easy breaking down, especially when you've done 500 plus episodes, and then when you have other things going on, like, events that you're traveling to or events you're speaking at, or like I write an article for Podcast Business Journal on a weekly basis. That could be its own ad, or articles that I like from other people can be shared in there. I could have done a whole Pinterest board on the Petcha Pod pitch on Thursday with the different people coming on. So I see the the value in just posting on their aspect of things and sharing it there completely. So I like what you're doing. I see how you're hitting 1.1 or 1.4 million pins or views on your Pinterest board on a monthly basis. With how are your CTAs? How when you have call to actions on there and opt-ins and stuff like that? How are you using, or what are you using there on Pinterest to help you with that stuff?
I'm not doing anything on Pinterest except for with my lead magnets. like with the pins to go check out the lookbook preview version or to go look at that. And then I take them straight to my landing page.
Okay.
But thank you for bringing that up, because that's where I was also failing myself.
Okay.
When I started my podcast, and I'm going to go back to a show notes page. I did notice though earlier this week that whatever show notes page I was looking at did not have, and this one doesn't. I need to, oh, there, it's way buried at the bottom. I need to do something about this. But every single one of your show notes pages should have a call to action on it. In a version like mine, number one, it shouldn't have taken so long to actually see the call to action. I probably would have put it right up here under the tweet or even above the tweet.
Right.
Maybe even 3 times on this page, to be totally honest. Once underneath the share, once right below the tweet, and then I don't know, it's my show. I can have it as many times as I want to, but I don't want people to notice it, or I do want people to know. I don't want people to miss it.
But it's not like, hey, sign up a little bit. It's like it's good looking. It fits with the flow of the page. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It's not like the size of a Hope's picture that you have on there.
Right, which is, I should have done. I was just happy to get it out the same day that, that it went live. But I do also, because I'm in WordPress, I do use the widget bar. So people do see, first and foremost, go over to the freebies page. So that takes me over to where I have, admittedly, I mean, you already shared, I have chronic idea disorder. So I admittedly have created way too many lead magnets, many of which are not at all relevant to my business anymore, and I will be saying goodbye to them in 2020, but they are all right here. I want to show though, I know that we're talking about Pinterest, and if you have any questions about what I'm doing on Pinterest, then I'd love for you to pop them in, but I want to show you something that I did. And I think, Scott, I've already shown this to you, but this was using Pop-Up Ally Pro. I meant to go in an incognito window. I might need to reshare my screen. Probably, right?
Or just, maybe, yeah.
Desktop. Just share my desktop or something.
Yeah, or shares it. Yeah, you should see it there. We're still seeing.
Okay. Black bar, are you seeing there you go. Did you see that pop up?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I'm using Pop-Up Ally Pro, and when somebody goes to my podcast page or to any of the show notes pages, because I have it specifically set to only show on the podcast episodes or on the actual podcast page. If they go to leave the page, this pop-up comes up and invites them to subscribe. And then these buttons take them over to my show page on these 3 platforms.
Can I ask why you're giving away your traffic at that point? Instead of just putting them to your website where there's a player for them?
Because I know that when they're on the go, it's going to be a lot easier to have it on, to be listening on Apple Podcasts.
Okay.
Where it's just automatically downloading for them.
Okay.
I don't want people to forget to come to my website. Mm-hmm. So and they'll get the pop-up notification on their phone, new episode. I get new episode notifications from Apple Podcasts on my phone. Do you?
I do, yes.
Yeah. So I'm okay with sending them over there to subscribe, because I'm always inviting them in my episodes to come back.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your thought on that, though?
What's my thought on that?
Yeah.
I'd like, I throw everything to the website. And so, I get where it automatically downloads and also listen to it and stuff like that. But we do the same thing with reaching out to people on a regular basis. Hey, the newest episode's here through text, stuff like this. So we're trying to drive them into the website. But I get that they're on there. They can listen to it. But I get what you're doing. Hey, subscribe here so they can just get automatic downloads on a variety of it. So that makes sense.
I do. I need to research now with recent changes. I need to research what ManyChat or Facebook Messenger bot is allowing and not allowing, because I was sending out ManyChat notifications as well through Facebook, letting my bot subscribers know. I send out an email for every new one. I'm doing the IGTV, and then I'm sharing to all social media, driving back to my site. So
makes sense.
Yeah, but I would love to know what questions I can answer for people. And what questions do you have, Scott?
Well, since you spent an hour, you're setting. I'm still wrapping my head about the different ways to spread it out. Do you see with the tribes aspect of it? Because I was just on Pinterest, like, where's the tribes at? So that's what I was trying to look at. Where's some of these big tribes I can tap into? Because that's the easiest thing too. Because it's kind of similar to LinkedIn groups that I use. Because it's I go to LinkedIn and just in the bigger groups, and I've seen some traction there. So it reminds me of the Pinterest tribes. Are you? What's the best way to say this? Your post now with Pinterest, you have the ability, kind of like as you come across things, automatically share there because there's an app in your Chrome. Is that correct? When
Yes,
you're sharing,
a Chrome extension.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that makes it easier. Okay, I think that solves like Kim Chirillo was like, I don't know how you can share that. I was like, well, there's different Chrome extensions like Buffer. You can add to the Buffer thing, but you like to share directly to Pinterest because it probably does it a little bit easier, or Tailwind because that's an app pretty much primarily for that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So the tribes is part of Tailwind, by the way.
Okay. All right. That's
Yep.
why I was having a harder time finding it just a few minutes ago.
And with their basic account, which again is not expensive at all, you can be part of 5 tribes and submit 30 pins a month to the tribes.
Okay.
So 1 a day, which is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I've noticed though, is that when I started, I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I share today's episode or today's blog to all the tribes at one time? Just no, don't do that. Just because a lot of the people that you are in these tribes in with are going to be part of all the different tribes. Mm-hmm. So I'm a nerd. I'm a self-professed nerd. I have a spreadsheet now. That top column shows all the tribe names that I'm in. No, the row. And the first column has a whole list of all my podcast episodes. And I treat it sort of like the game Battleship.
Okay.
Today I'm going to share this, or right now I'm going to share the first blog article with the first tribe, right? And then I'm going to do the second blog article with the second tribe, and the third one with the third tribe. So I actually had a VA doing that. They haven't done it recently, and we've actually seen our traffic go up since we stopped doing that. So I would love to see when I have the team member back doing that again, how our traffic continues to go up. But it just feels really yucky to me to see somebody that's sharing the same content to all the tribes at once, instead of giving variety. That's how I'm driving traffic to all the to the podcast episodes that are 4 years old, to the blog articles that are older than 4 years old. Mm-hmm. To answer Nancy, Pinterest is the number one traffic driver, but it is not my primary social media platform right now. I am really loving Instagram. I don't have a straight answer for you. I just need to let you know. I mean, I have 20 something thousand followers on Twitter, but I'm doing the least there. I have 15,000 followers on Facebook. I've started doing Facebook Lives because I did cut back my show now. I have 600 and something episodes out on my podcast, but that is partially because I launched my show as a daily show. I was insane, to say the least.
Right.
So that's how I got to this many episodes 4 years in. I cut it back in the fall of 2018 to 2 shows a week. Now it's down to 1 show a week so that I can diversify what I'm doing. So I'm doing Facebook Lives now, which I'm also repurposing onto YouTube. So I can't tell you what my primary is. I know that the Facebook Lives that I'm repurposing are doing really well driving traffic too. So it's going to be interesting to see how 2020 plays out and if the Facebook YouTube effort will take over Pinterest's spot. I don't know. The key though, we have to be visible. Mm-hmm. If we're not being visible, then what's the point in doing any of this? If we're not sharing the episode after it goes live, I mean, you can't just drop it, share it once and expect expect other people to keep on finding it because there's people who don't know about you. So having an evergreen strategy for your podcast, as long as it's not a time sensitive podcast, I won't say who I was just listening to all morning because I was in a room with my husband, but he's listening to political stuff all day. Like
Yeah.
those, you wouldn't develop an evergreen strategy for those, please. But just my opinion. But for anything that, I mean, for the marketing techniques that I'm talking about, or the productivity or the self-care, if your content can be evergreen, then there's no excuse for it not being evergreen.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth. That's a good point there. Is if you could make it evergreen, it's the easiest thing. But let's get another questions here. And says, thanks. She does, Larry does, I do a daily show as well. Yeah. Let's get another question here. Kim says, you've been on Pinterest for years. What would you suggest is the best things to start with for someone who's just creating a new account?
Okay, so I would start with your content channels. That was a kiss for you, Kim. You're awesome. I'm not talking to myself there, by the way.
Different
Kim, yeah. Any of your content channels. So I started, my Pinterest was started with my blog, my podcast, and I called it my products, but it was actually my lead magnets. So any freebies that you give away, any chance that you can ever have to filling your, or to growing your email list, you should be focusing on that. So let me just preface that by saying, though, on January 1st, 2019, I put out an article inspired. I need to give credit where credit's due. Gretchen Rubin, she had like a 17 for 2017 list. I was inspired. I made my 19 for 2019 list, posted it to Pinterest. It blew up. I saw like thousands of people come over, which shocked the heck out of me. I was like, why aren't I getting any opt-ins? Like, why isn't my list growing? And I go and look at the article. I didn't even put an opt-in in the article. I'm like, I do marketing automation for clients every day of the week, and I didn't put an opt-in on this article. Like, there was a couple 4-letter words in there. So I went and I put an opt-in in. It was a little too late for that one. I didn't make that mistake for my 20 for 2020. But please do yourself a favor, and before you just go mad rush, start putting everything onto Pinterest, make sure that your page is optimized to be gathering leads or making you money or whatever you want it to do. Like, look at your end goal, backwards engineer it, and figure out what you need to do for each show's show notes before you start sharing it. Because you don't, it's like, why would you put up a Super Bowl commercial driving people to your site if the product's not even listed yet?
Yeah, that's true.
I feel bad for people, by the way, who go on Oprah, or when she was still, out or doing the show that got her super famous, and then they just weren't prepared for all the traffic that came. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. All you need is one episode that goes viral, but please set yourself up.
A question I have for you is on the older episodes that you're going back and maximizing or optimizing, have you gone back and tracked any type of increase in downloads on those episodes, or seeing them go from 100 to 150 or 1,000 to 2,000, whatever? Anything that you've seen pop up?
I haven't, and it's sort of interesting because because I'm at 600. I have multiple YouTube, Apple shows now because I have the archive. I have the first archive. But what I love seeing is those days when there's those huge spikes.
Yeah.
And then you look at the most recent episode and it's at normal download numbers. So you know that you've gotten a couple new subscribers and they've downloaded all of them.
Right.
So I need to be better. Full admission, I need to be better about tracking where all these are coming from. I build funnels. My own funnels have been broken for years, and I'm finally getting those set up. So 2020 is going to provide a lot of clarity on a lot of this.
Yeah. But you've really helped quite a few people with their Pinterest funnels and stuff like that, that have existing accounts or starting new accounts, and help them set this stuff up there, right?
Yeah. Yep. I love it. I mean, it's just, if we can make it easier, why aren't we?
That's the truth.
I mean, admittedly, this is the first time I've gotten dressed this weekend. So, but
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for getting dressed.
Well, I've been dressed, but this is the first time I've been presentable this weekend because I'm finally working smarter and not harder, that I haven't been having to work this weekend. You know what I mean? Because I finally have been setting up the systems that are driving traffic to my funnels. I'm not having to burn the candle at both ends to get those leads coming in.
What are you seeing? What do you see that's converting well with your leads and other things that are posting there? What low dollar end products, opt-ins, $7, $10, higher end products with your clients? What are you seeing as price points that are working well on Pinterest?
Okay, so the 7 to 19 is working really well. What I've been doing is a lot of what's working for me is I have like an email series.
Yep.
One example is for my virtual assistant group. I'm no longer a virtual assistant, but I have a very large virtual assistant group where I give them a 6-day quick start, and it's an email series. I am a go-getter though. I cannot stand waiting for the content to come the next day. What about you, Scott? Like, I want it right now. Like, I want to.
So there's a couple things. It depends on what it is. Sometimes I don't mind, coming in one day at a time. The other things that get binged, the videos on Amazon, I want it right now. I don't want to wait next week to watch Ray Donovan. I want it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So what I know, like, people wanted to know, how do I get it? And when it struck me that I could take those 6 days of emails and make a PDF easily in Canva and sell it to them. Oh, you don't want to wait? You don't want to wait 6 days to get all the content? Well, you can buy it. And then what I loved was that my sister was working with me for a while. She went in and she upped the price because she noticed it was selling way too much in her mind. But it kept on selling. Mm-hmm. So start it low if you're not sure how it's going to work. If you see that it's doing really well, take it up a little bit. And then take it up a little bit more. But I have that on multiple products. I had a sick kid, no joke. This is where chronic idea disorder comes in. I had a sick kid. He was little. He was laying on me. I wanted to do something. And I developed a 30-day abundance challenge. That's not my space at all. This is what I'm talking about. I need to let some of this stuff go. Same thing. People didn't want to wait the 30 days. So right. I went over to Fiverr, hired this guy for $100 to make some abundance themed coloring pages, packaged it all together in a workbook, and sell that for $20. And that thing paid for itself in the first year. And that was 3 years ago. So, and you can't even find that on my site anymore. Can you? You might still be able to. It's somewhere, I'm sure, but it's on Pinterest. So it's still selling. And I love it. I love seeing that PayPal notification on my phone. You just got $19.97. You just got $9.97, And
that's the thing with monetization. I've got a buddy who's got a podcasting newsletter that's membership. I'm sorry, not membership. A newsletter. We had Joe and Matt last time, but a $7 a month membership with over 1 million people in it.
This is Joe and Matt?
No, this is another guy that I know with.
Okay.
He's got a private membership, $7 a month, and 1 million plus subscribers to it. Craziness.
I need some of that.
Yeah. But one of the things I've liked using too that we toyed around with a little bit here, we should have done a little bit sooner with what we were doing with the marketing for the Mass Media Summit is bump sales. You ever heard about the bump sale thing? We do this when we've run different products with our educational side of things. We'll start things at like $1 and it goes up by an increment every time somebody buys. It works really well if we do a webinar and a big push to, like a landing page or a meeting or something like that, where, okay, first person that buys it's $1. Second person goes up by $1. Third person goes up by $1. And it's gone, and people get really excited. And when that starts to slow down, that's when you know what the perceived value of that item is. So it's like, hey, we're going to give you a beta test cheap price and roll it up until it's, if it slows down at 195, okay, you know that the real price that everybody thinks is worth is 195, and that's what you roll it out for. And so we've used that, and that's worked out really well because you're like, oh my God, and we're up to $195 now in the first hour. You're like, yeah.
That is awesome.
So I like that idea of the 30-day rollouts, or hey, if you want to pay me $10 or pay me $20 and get everything in one big download, one big dump. So
Yep. And then our mutual connection, Richie Ote, I was working on my Work Smarter Not Harder challenge, where I have a series of videos that I'm dripping out, and I was getting really frustrated with myself because I didn't have all the videos done yet. And Richie said, well, Kim, are you dropping them all at the same time? And I was like, no, I'm dripping them. He's like, then why do you need to have them all done when you launch it? And I was like, oh. And he's like, and furthermore, people don't take action.
mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how many people that, there's a few people with us today, and even the people who think this is awesome, the Pinterest stuff, I can pretty much guarantee that maybe 5 to 10%. Please prove me wrong. Please message me when you take action. But people don't take action like they should. So he's like, here's what you do. He says, tell them that for the first 5 days, they can buy unlimited access, lifetime access, but they have to do it right now. And if they choose to wait until after day 5, and they're only going to have access for 3 days to each video. He's like, tell them that unless they buy it right away, they're going to lose it. So act or lose it. I was like, holy moly, that's amazing. And I've had sales off of that too.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. We're not going to get testimonials for our products unless people see themselves through to the end. So it's our responsibility to keep people accountable through the whole process. So regardless of, and I know that I came on to talk about Pinterest today, but when you're driving people to your site, when you're driving them through your content, make sure that you are pixeling them, make sure that you are writing them after they leave your site to take action. And I'm sure Matt and Joe would have some awesome advice on that, to take action on whatever page they were on, because
making sure there's always some sort of action item, sign up here, click here for more, always opting in. I mean, little things to get people to connect besides just subscribing. I mean, that's the bare minimum. Like Dave Jackson was saying last night, hey, we all want subscribers and listeners. Downloads are great, but it's the listeners that we want. Because if somebody downloads your video or your thing 20 times, it's not really valuable. It counts as one person. And that's the biggest thing, is knowing how many people that are actually there and getting to know your audience, getting to know who's clicking on your stuff, where are their buying activities, who they are. The more we can identify that, the better. And you're able to do that by a lot of seeing, hey, what's popular on your board that's getting a lot of repins and a lot of traffic to it, right?
Absolutely. And it just occurred to me, thank you very much. I always realized what I've forgotten. I forgot to pin the Work Smarter Not Harder challenge. I forgot to pin the heartfelt feel good funnel 4-part series. So make sure any part of our business is not the field of dreams. Like, if you build it, you're not guaranteeing that they're going to come. They will come when you make it visible. So find those easy strategies. I can't believe I forgot to pin after this is all that I'm talking about all the time. I forgot to pin. Like, these are 2 of my 3 funnels that I'm going to keep.
So what you have a training program here that you've rolled out here in the last few months too about this. Do you want to talk about that for those that might be on here, might be interested in watching?
Yeah. So I am actually going, wrapping up Pinterest for podcasters and walk through in a lot more detail what we should be doing to set up our Pinterest accounts and our SEO and our websites and everything that we can be doing to be driving the most traffic from Pinterest. So in full disclosure, I was hoping to have all the videos and everything and the landing page, everything ready for today. Didn't happen, but I would love to offer, I do have a Pinterest lookbook that I can offer, because sometimes you just need a little bit of inspiration to get started, and you can't still see my screen, right?
Nope.
So I'm just going
to put the link in the chat roll for them to tag into.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the chat roll. That's the one thing I forgot to grab, so I'm going to go grab that quick. But I do have a Pinterest lookbook, because you have, depending on where you go for the research, you have 3 or 7 seconds to make a first impression. So you need to make sure that your Pinterest account is representing you and your business the way that you want it to. So in this lookbook, and I did just put the link in the chat roll. This is a link to the Pinterest lookbook, and you can get inspired, and then you can go over to Canva or what your preferred graphic design tool is, and start designing your board covers.
Mm-hmm. There we go. I love that. That'll help me, and then I will probably be calling you, Kim.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. I would love to see what I could do for you.
We put this in the spreadsheet so I can put it in the notes for everything later on. So we got that thing. KimSutton.com, Pinterest-lookbook. There we go.
Can I just throw one more thing out there about this too? When I published this lookbook, there was a little voice in the back of my mind that was telling me, don't do it, don't do it. But I really wanted to share with the people who are featured because I didn't ask their permission. I sort of thought about that after the fact. Maybe I should have asked them. But I was like, okay, heck with it. There was a little voice in my head that told me that I shouldn't tell them that they were featured. But then this bigger voice said, yeah, just tell them, send them a free copy. Invite them to share it with their list, set them up as an affiliate. So I started sharing it with everybody that was featured. And then they, Tailwind, the tool that I use, they ended up sharing it with their list.
Nice.
And that blew my mind. Oh, here's the full version. But you don't need to do that. But you can see down there in the preview, like, I have the previews. The preview comes with a number of different I'm having a brain fart. I'm sorry. Of different layouts that you can look at. Compilation episodes, compilation blog articles, anything is always gets attention. And it gets even more attention when you remember to share it with your list. When you remember to share it with the people who are featured. And don't let that little voice in the back of your head tell you that nobody's going to care, that the people that you featured aren't going to care, because they are. You're ready. You're just digging right in there.
I wanted to pull up so everybody can see it there real fast for everybody. That's what I wanted to do, so that those that are here, there we go. Okay, let me share my screen now. Stop share.
And by the way, this was it was made in Canva.
I love Canva. It's
nothing needs to be difficult. So every single part of this was made in Canva, and and all the links are clickable, so you can go over to the people's profile and see them. And it was a whole lot of fun for me because I got tired of. Here's one last idea I'm going to leave you with. Those things that you have to keep on searching for, that your clients keep on asking you for. Like, my clients kept on asking me for examples of Instagram layouts because I have to say this over and over again that, it's not the field of dreams. If we build it, they will not come. You have to get out there. So I was like, you should spend a little bit of time thinking about your Instagram flow. You should give a little time thinking about your Pinterest flow. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? So I got tired, of keeping on going and looking. Yeah. Daniel had exactly 3 views per month when I started working with him. And now the last time I looked, he was like over 250,000, but it's been a couple months since I looked, to be totally honest. But if your clients keep on asking for it, there's a great idea for a lead magnet for you.
Yeah.
And then make the upsell version too.
I love it. It's good stuff. What other questions? We have another question here. How can we get a copy? Larry, I put the link in the chat roll. So the link is there. Give her your information. It'll send you an email with this, what I'm scrolling through right now. So
I'm hiding for a second to blow my nose. I don't want to be rude.
There you go. Yeah, just do it. It'll download into your email. You'll have access to, if you want to buy the full version, you can. But it's just it's a really cool tool for you to be able to look at this stuff and kind of get a picture. Because I think so many of us end up having things on our anything, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, that we add and take away that doesn't flow well, doesn't brand well. We all have different things we do that, and that's why I also think you've got to have your business profile and a personal profile a little bit different, because we're all in business, but we all have different personal interests as well too. So there you go. I love it, Kim. This is great. Boom.
You just reminded me I need to tell Google I still want my Google Voice number too. Thank you, Scott, for going through that whole thing right then, because I was like, what's that number? And then I remembered.
How much business you're missing out on pinning and making sure you have the right phone number and shit.
Well, that's the right number. It's just I never use it. And they reminded me a couple weeks ago that I need to use the number in order to keep it. So I best use that number.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Any other questions? Come and see if there's any questions on. I hadn't looked on Facebook because I was busy scrolling there on the live stream here. We probably have a couple. Let's see. Lou says, great stuff there. Hi. I got to share this one. Let me see one here. Come on. What did Joe say? Tagging. Oh, he's tagging something. No, I think it's about it, Kim. So, hey, thank you so much for coming on Mass Media here and sharing your Pinterest strategy and really making some things happen here for people.
I just want to say, this is the perfect example. I just want to thank you to the people who just bought the upsell. But seriously, give them, whenever you think about what your funnel is, sorry, Scott, to have interrupted you, like give them the easy version that they can take over time. But 3 of you at least just bought the upsell. That's how easy it is. Give them the option to get more, but you don't need to give it all away for free.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Nancy says, great, Kim. Just bought it. Larry just bought it. There you go. Good job. Way to go, guys. We take some action on Sunday night there for you. Good stuff. All right, Kim. Well, hey, we'll let you get back to your kids and go back and play referee.
We're doing Super Smash Brothers, so I think I better go help my husband and make sure that he wins.
Good stuff there. Well, hey, thanks so much, guys. You can check out Kim's podcast, the Positive Productivity Podcast. Check it out. Subscribe. Leave a review. But take her up on that. Download it at least, and then, hey, it's cheap enough to buy the upgrade. Go ahead and do that. You'll be surprised what you learn, and add that to your platforms and working to put Pinterest to work for your podcast and everything, and your marketing too. So thanks so much, Kim.
Can I also ask to get before and afters too for anybody who decides to try the stuff? Like, I would love to see how it works for you. So just keep me up to date, please. But Scott, thank you for allowing me to come on and spend some adult time this weekend. I really love it.
Yeah, same here, Kim. No problem. Anytime. Are you traveling any? You got any events in the near future? Or are you hanging home?
I will be at Podfest in Orlando in March, which I am so looking forward to because we've got snow on the ground in Ohio, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm going to be there too. Joe and Matt are going to be there.
Adam Shively.
Yes. Dave Jackson, obviously, who was speaking last night, is going to be there. So we've got a big chunk of going. I'm going to actually be going out to the Spark Christian Podcasting Conference in February here in Houston. But Podfest, guys, check it out as well too, and we'll see you there. You got a whole session you're teaching on, aren't you?
Pinterest for podcasters.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff then. Thanks, Kim. We'll see you later.
See you later. Bye.
All right, guys. Let's we're gonna take a quick little break. Take a 15-minute break. We got Dana Garrison coming back on here. Dana, a rock star when it comes to helping you with your live streams. She is going to be on here in 15 minutes. I updated the website because she gave me her updated topic name versus what I had beforehand. And she's going to come back in, how to use YouTube to get more subs, sponsors, and income for free. So if you've thought about using YouTube, or someone who's just sharing episodes of YouTube, here's a great example of why you want to hang around. Dana is one of the foremost experts on YouTube. And I'm looking forward. She was also one of the first people I reached out to. She's like, hey, I need a YouTube expert. Love to have you come on if possible and share what you're doing. So she's a social media expert and really helps a lot of other organizations and companies really take their live stream strategy on YouTube to go to a whole different level. So come back. See you guys back in 15 minutes. All right. Bye.